Hey family. Just wanted to take a moment to say a massive thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your comments, support, and loyalty mean absolutely everything to me. I see you showing up video after video, sharing your thoughts, and making this community what it is. This channel wouldn't be the same without each and every one of you. Your enthusiasm keeps me motivated, and I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend your time here. Much love to you all. Red Heart. Maya's eyes shot open to find her world turned upside down, literally. The blood rushed to her head as she hung suspended from a rope tied around her ankles, swinging slightly in the hot desert breeze. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting long shadows across the sand. Her throat felt like sandpaper, her lips cracked and bleeding. How long had she been here? Hours? Days? The bandits had left her to die, hanging from the lone dead tree in this vast emptiness. She tried to scream, but only a hoarse whisper escaped her parched lips. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, nothing but sand dunes and scattered rocks for miles. No water. No shade. No hope. Maya's mind drifted back to yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? She had been driving through the desert, taking a shortcut back to the city after visiting her grandmother in the small town where she grew up. Her old car had broken down, and while she was trying to fix it, 3 men in dirty clothes and with scarred faces appeared out of nowhere. They took everything. Her phone, her wallet, the little cash she had, even the emergency water bottles. Then they tied her up, drove her deeper into the desert in their beat-up truck, and left her hanging from this dead tree to die a slow, painful death. Help! She tried again, but her voice was barely audible even to herself. The rope dug into her ankles, sending waves of pain up her legs. Her once neat braids hung down, brushing against the sand below. She had been wearing a simple blue dress and white sneakers for the drive. Now the dress was torn and dirty, her shoes gone. Maya closed her eyes, fighting back tears. She was 32 years old, a kindergarten teacher who loved her job and her small apartment in the city. Was this really how it would end? No one knew where she was. No one would think to look for her here. Her body would dry out in the desert sun, and maybe years later someone would find her bones. The sun climbed higher, beating down mercilessly. Sweat trickled down her forehead into her eyes, making them sting. She tried again to reach up toward her ankles to untie the rope, but her muscles were too weak from dehydration and the awkward position. Each failed attempt left her swinging, making her dizzy and nauseous. As the morning wore on, Maya drifted in and out of consciousness. Strange images flashed through her mind, her classroom full of laughing children, her mother's smile, the birthday cake she'd never get to eat next week. She thought about all the things she hadn't done yet. She'd never fallen in love, never seen Paris, never told her best friend Lisa how much she appreciated her. So many regrets. In her more lucid moments, she watched small lizards dart across the sand and beetles crawling nearby. They had adapted to this harsh environment. They knew how to survive here. She didn't. By midday, Maya had given up hope. The sun was directly overhead now, and the heat was unbearable. Her skin felt like it was on fire. Her lips had split further, and her tongue was swollen. Her thoughts became jumbled and confused. Was that the sound of an engine, or was her mind playing tricks on her? The sound grew louder. Not her imagination then. But it was probably just the bandits coming back to check if she was dead yet, or maybe to take her somewhere else even worse. Maya closed her eyes, pretending to be unconscious or dead. Maybe they would leave her alone. The engine sound stopped. Car doors slammed. Footsteps approached, crunching on the sand. Oh my God. James, over here. There's someone hanging from that tree. A woman's voice. Not the bandits then. More footsteps running now. She's alive. I can see her breathing. Quick, help me get her down. Strong hands gently supported her body as someone else cut the rope. She was carefully lowered to the ground and turned right side up. The sudden change in position made her head spin, and she almost passed out again. Miss? Can you hear me? You're safe now. We're going to help you. Through blurry eyes, Maya saw a man's face hovering above her. Gleaming with sweat, concerned eyes, a strong jaw. He was pressing a water bottle to her lips, letting small amounts of cool liquid trickle into her mouth. Slowly, he said. Not too much at once. She tried to speak, to thank him, but no words came out. Don't try to talk yet, he said. Save your strength. I'm James. That's my assistant Aisha. We're going to take you to a hospital. James. The name echoed in her head as darkness closed in again. The last thing Maya felt was being lifted in strong arms. The last thing she smelled was a faint trace of expensive cologne mixed with desert dust. The last thing she thought was that she might actually survive this nightmare after all. As consciousness slipped away, she had no idea that this terrible day would change her life forever, or that the man now carrying her to safety would be the reason why. When Maya opened her eyes again, she was in a moving vehicle. Not the bandits' beat-up truck, but something smooth and luxurious. The air was blessedly cool. Air conditioning. She was lying across the back seat of what appeared to be a very expensive SUV. "She's awake," said a woman's voice from the front passenger seat. The man driving, James, glanced back quickly. "Good. How are you feeling?" "We're about 30 minutes from the nearest hospital." Maya tried to sit up, but her body protested with sharp pains. "Water?" she managed to croak. The woman, Aisha, Maya remembered, passed back another water bottle. "Small sips," she reminded. After a few careful swallows, Maya felt her voice returning. "Thank you. You saved my life." "What happened to you out there?" James asked, his eyes meeting hers briefly in the rearview mirror before returning to the desert road. Maya explained about the car breakdown and the bandits. As she spoke, she noticed James's hands tightening on the steering wheel until his knuckles showed pale against his skin. "Those bastards," he muttered. "Did you see their faces clearly? Would you recognize them?" "I think so," Maya said. "But who are you? What were you doing out in the middle of nowhere?" James and Aisha exchanged a look. "I'm James Warren," he said. "I was surveying land for a new solar power plant. I own Warren Renewable Energy." The name clicked in Maya's fuzzy brain. Warren Renewable Energy was only one of the biggest green energy companies in the country, which meant James Warren was... "You're that billionaire," she said, wincing at how blunt it sounded. "The one who's always in the business magazines." A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. "Guilty as charged. Though I prefer to think of myself as an entrepreneur who got lucky. And modest too," Aisha added with a friendly eye roll. "James likes to personally scout locations for new projects. Says he can't trust anyone else's judgment." "That's because no one else has my vision," James replied, but there was no arrogance in his tone, only certainty. Maya settled back against the leather seat, trying to process everything. Yesterday she had been a normal woman driving to visit her grandmother. Today she had nearly died and been rescued by one of the richest men in America. It felt unreal. "We should call the police," she said suddenly. "Report what happened. Those men could hurt someone else." "Already done," Aisha said, holding up a satellite phone. "They've got a description and the location where we found you. They'll meet us at the hospital." Maya nodded, relieved. She looked down at herself, suddenly self-conscious about her torn dress and dirty appearance. "Don't worry," James said as if reading her thoughts. "Aisha has some spare clothes in her bag. And once we get you checked out at the hospital, we'll get you whatever you need." "I can't ask you to do that," Maya protested. "You've already done enough by saving my life." "You're not asking. I'm offering," James said firmly. "Besides, I can't very well leave you stranded without a car, phone, or money, can I?" Put that way, it made sense. Still, Maya felt uncomfortable accepting help from a stranger, especially one so wealthy and powerful. There would be strings attached. There always were. "I'll pay you back," she said. "Once I get home and can access my bank account." James laughed. "Let's not worry about that right now. Focus on getting better first." They drove in silence for a while. Maya watched the desert landscape passing by, still unable to believe her luck. If James and Aisha hadn't happened to be surveying that particular area today, she shuddered. "Cold?" Aisha asked. "I can adjust the temperature." "No, just thinking about what almost happened." James's eyes found hers in the mirror again. "But it didn't happen. You're safe now." There was something in the way he said it, a certainty, a promise, that made Maya feel truly safe for the first time since her car had broken down. She didn't know this man, but somehow she trusted him. The SUV pulled up to a small regional hospital. Before Maya could even try to stand up, James was opening the back door and gently helping her out. Her legs buckled, still weak from hanging upside down for so long, and he caught her easily, sweeping her up into his arms again. "I can walk," she protested weakly. "I'm sure you can," he said. "But humor me, okay?" As he carried her through the emergency room doors, calling for a doctor, Maya couldn't help noticing how the staff jumped to attention when they recognized him. Money and power opened doors, and in this case she was benefiting from it. The next few hours passed in a blur of medical examinations, police statements, and efforts to contact her family. Maya learned she had been hanging from that tree for nearly 18 hours. She was severely dehydrated and had sunburn and rope burns on her ankles, but miraculously she would recover completely with proper care and rest. Through it all, James never left. He stepped out of the examination room when needed but remained in the hospital, making calls, arranging things. Maya heard him talking about having her car towed and repaired, about hotel rooms, about finding the men who had done this. When the doctor finally declared that Maya could leave but should rest and drink plenty of fluids, James appeared with a wheelchair. "Hospital policy," he said with a shrug when she raised an eyebrow. "Where am I going?" Maya asked. "I don't have my wallet for a hotel, and my apartment is 3 hours away." "That's already taken care of," James said. "I've booked you a suite at the Grand Desert Hotel. It's the best place in town. Aisha picked up some clothes and necessities for you. Your car is being towed to the best mechanic in the area, though it might take a few days to fix. And I've arranged for a rental car for you in the meantime." Maya stared at him. "Why are you doing all this? You don't even know me." James knelt down beside the wheelchair so they were at eye level. Up close, she could see the flecks of amber in his dark brown eyes, the tiny scar above his right eyebrow, the stubble that had grown on his jaw throughout this long day. "I believe we're put in each other's paths for a reason," he said. "Today I was meant to find you. I don't know why yet, but I intend to find out. If that means making sure you're comfortable and safe while you recover, then that's what I'll do." It was the kind of statement that should have sounded ridiculous or presumptuous. Instead, it felt right. Maya had never believed much in fate or destiny, but after today she was reconsidering. "Thank you," she said simply. He smiled, a warm, genuine smile that transformed his serious face. "You're very welcome, Maya Thompson." She blinked. "How do you know my last name?" "The police report. I pay attention to details." He stood up and began pushing the wheelchair toward the exit. "Now, let's get you to that hotel so you can rest properly." As they left the hospital, the desert sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Maya felt like she was waking up from one life and entering another. She didn't know what would happen next, but for the first time in a long time, she was curious to find out. The Grand Desert Hotel was the fanciest place Maya had ever seen, let alone stayed in. The lobby gleamed with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Well-dressed staff moved efficiently, greeting guests with practiced smiles. And everyone, absolutely everyone, seemed to know who James Warren was. "Mr. Warren. Such an honor to have you back, sir," the hotel manager gushed, rushing forward as they entered. His eyes darted curiously to Maya in her wheelchair, but he was too professional to ask questions. "Thank you, Robert. Is everything ready for Miss Thompson?" "Of course, sir. The presidential suite is prepared, and we've stocked the refrigerator as requested. Ms. Aisha dropped off some packages earlier, they're waiting in the suite." Maya's eyes widened. Presidential suite? Just how much money was James spending on her? As if sensing her discomfort, James leaned down and whispered, "Don't worry. I own 30% of this hotel chain. The suite would be empty otherwise." That didn't actually make her feel much better about the situation, but Maya was too exhausted to argue. She let James wheel her to a private elevator that required a special key card. "I'm going to get you settled, make sure you have everything you need, and then I'll leave you to rest," James said as they ascended. "I've got meetings in the morning, but I'd like to check on you after, if that's okay?" Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. The events of the day were catching up to her, and a wave of delayed shock was setting in. This man, this stranger, had saved her life and was now treating her like, what? A friend? A charity case? She couldn't figure him out. The elevator doors opened directly into the suite and Maya gasped. The space was bigger than her entire apartment, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a spectacular view of the desert and mountains beyond. The sunset bathed everything in a golden glow. "Do you like it?" James asked, sounding almost nervous. "It's beautiful," Maya admitted. "But way too much. I don't need all this." "Maybe not," he agreed, pushing her wheelchair into the main living area. "But after what you've been through, I think you deserve a little luxury while you recover." He showed her around the suite, the massive bedroom with its king-sized bed, the marble bathroom with a jacuzzi tub and shower big enough for 4 people, the fully stocked kitchen and the private terrace. "Aisha picked up some clothes for you," he said, pointing to several shopping bags on the bed. "She guessed your size. If anything doesn't fit, just let the concierge know and they'll exchange it." Maya peeked into one of the bags and saw a price tag that made her eyes widen. Designer clothes. A quick glance in the other bags revealed toiletries, pajamas, casual clothes, even a pair of comfortable-looking slippers. "This is too much," she said again. James shook his head. "It's not enough. Maya, you almost died today. If we hadn't found you—" He paused, his voice growing tight. I've seen a lot in my life, built a company from nothing, made billions, lost people I cared about. But seeing you hanging there thinking we might be too late, it affected me. I can't explain it, but I feel responsible for you right now. Maya didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to insist on her independence, to refuse his help. But another part, a deeper part, recognized the genuine concern in his eyes. Thank you, she said finally. For everything. But I'll be fine now. I just need to rest and then I can figure out how to get home and back to my life. Something flickered across James's face. Disappointment? He covered it quickly with a smile. Of course. You should rest. The doctor said to drink plenty of fluids and there's water and juice in the fridge. The room service menu is on the table. Order whatever you want whenever you want it. Everything is taken care of. He handed her a new phone. Your temporary phone until we can get your own replaced. My number and Aisha's are programmed in, plus the hotel concierge. Call if you need anything day or night. Maya took the phone, feeling overwhelmed by his generosity. I don't know how I'll ever repay you for all this. James touched her shoulder lightly. You don't have to. Just get better. That's all I want. With that, he left, the elevator doors closing behind him. Maya sat in the wheelchair for a long moment, trying to process everything. Then, slowly she stood up. Her legs were steadier now, though still weak. She made her way to the bathroom and caught sight of herself in the giant mirror. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her. Her face was sunburned and drawn, her usually lustrous dark skin dull from dehydration. Her box braids were a mess, some coming undone, others tangled with desert dust. The hospital had cleaned her up somewhat, but she still looked like she'd been through hell. Which she had. Maya turned on the shower, stripped off the hospital gown and the remnants of her torn dress, and stepped under the warm water. She stood there for a long time, letting it wash away the desert, the fear, the memory of hanging upside down waiting to die. By the time she finished, the bathroom was filled with steam, and she felt almost human again. Wrapped in the softest towel she'd ever felt, Maya ventured back to the bedroom and explored the shopping bags more thoroughly. Aisha had thought of everything. Underwear, casual clothes, even a simple but elegant dress. Everything was her size or close enough. Maya changed into comfortable pajamas, ordered soup and bread from room service, and then crawled into the enormous bed. The sheets felt like clouds against her skin. Despite everything, despite the trauma and the strange situation she found herself in, she felt safe. As she drifted toward sleep, Maya thought about James Warren, the billionaire who had found her in the desert. The man who could have simply dropped her at the hospital and gone on with his life but had instead taken responsibility for her well-being in a way no one ever had before. What? He had said they were put in each other's paths for a reason. Maya had never believed in such things, but now she wondered. Was there a reason she had taken that shortcut? A reason her car had broken down in just that spot? A reason James had been surveying that particular stretch of desert on that particular day? It seemed impossible that anything good could come from such a horrible experience. And yet, Maya fell asleep thinking of dark eyes with amber flecks, a strong jawline, and the faint scent of expensive cologne mixed with desert dust. Maya woke to sunlight streaming through a gap in the curtains. For a moment she didn't know where she was. Then it all came flooding back. The desert, the bandits hanging upside down, rescue, the hospital, this luxurious suite. James Warren. She reached for the phone on the nightstand and checked the time. 10:30 a.m. She had slept for over 12 hours. There was a text message from an unknown number. Hope you slept well. Meeting until 2 p.m. then we'll check on you if that's okay. JW. Maya sent back a simple, yes, thank you. She got up slowly, testing her body. Her ankles were sore where the rope had dug in and her muscles ached, but overall she felt much better than yesterday. The doctor had been right, rest and fluids were doing the trick. After a quick shower, Maya dressed in some of the clothes Aisha had bought, simple jeans and a blue blouse that fit surprisingly well. She found a hairbrush and did her best with her braids, managing to make them look somewhat presentable. Then she explored the suite in daylight. It was even more impressive than it had seemed last night. The view was breathtaking. Desert stretching to mountains in the distance, the small city below. Maya made herself coffee in the fancy machine and carried it out to the terrace. The morning air was still cool, the desert not yet heated to its midday intensity. She sipped her coffee and tried to make sense of her new reality. She should call her grandmother, let her know what had happened. She should contact her school, tell them she'd be missing a few days. She should think about how to get home, how to replace her stolen ID and credit cards. Instead, she found herself thinking about James. Why was he being so kind to her? Men like him, Wealthy, powerful, handsome, usually had ulterior motives. Yet there had been something in his eyes, something genuine that made her want to trust him. Maya was startled from her thoughts by a knock at the door. Not the elevator but the regular door that must connect to the hotel hallway. Cautiously she went to answer it. A hotel staff member stood there with a large bouquet of flowers. "Delivery for Miss Thompson." "Thank you," Maya said, accepting the colorful arrangement. She brought it inside and found the card nestled among the blooms. Flowers seemed appropriate for a woman blooming back to life after the desert. "Hope they brighten your day, James." Maya felt a smile spread across her face. It was a thoughtful gesture, and the note showed he had a poetic side beneath the businessman exterior. She was arranging the flowers in a vase when her temporary phone rang. "Hello, Maya? It's Aisha, James's assistant. I hope I'm not disturbing you." "Not at all. I was just admiring the flowers James sent." "Yes, he mentioned sending those." Aisha sounded pleased. "Listen, the police called James this morning. They've arrested 2 of the 3 men who attacked you. They want you to come in for a lineup to identify them." Maya's stomach clenched. The thought of seeing those men again, even from behind one-way glass, made her feel sick. "Do I have to go today?" "No, tomorrow would work. James wants to go with you for support, but he thought you might feel more comfortable if I explained rather than him calling directly." Maya appreciated the consideration. "That would be helpful, yes. Thank you." "There's something else," Aisha said, her voice dropping slightly. "I don't know if I should tell you this, but I think you should know. James has been different since we found you." "Different how?" "More intense. More focused. He's personally overseeing the search for the 3rd bandit. He's donated money to increase desert patrols. And he's asked me more questions about you than I can answer." Maya wasn't sure how to respond. "Why is he so invested in me?" There was a pause. "James lost his sister 5 years ago. Car accident in a remote area. By the time help arrived, it was too late." Aisha's voice was soft. "When we found you in the desert, I think it triggered something in him. A chance to save someone this time." The revelation hit Maya hard. No wonder James had been so affected by finding her, by almost being too late. "I'm so sorry about his sister. It's not something he talks about much. He's a private person despite being in the public eye. Thank you for telling me. It helps me understand him a little better. Just be patient with him, okay? He means well." There was something in Aisha's tone, concern, warning. Maya couldn't quite place it. "I will," she promised. After the call ended, Maya felt restless. She needed to move, to think. The doctor had said to rest, but surely a walk around the hotel would be okay. She slipped on the sandals Aisha had included in the shopping bags and headed downstairs. The hotel was as elegant by day as it had been by night. Maya walked through the lobby, past shops selling items she could never afford on a teacher's salary, toward the garden area she had glimpsed from her suite. The hotel gardens were an oasis in the desert, green lawns, colorful flowers, palm trees surrounding a large swimming pool. Maya found a shaded bench and sat down, watching hotel guests swim and sunbathe. Her mind kept returning to what Aisha had told her about James's sister. It explained his behavior, his need to take care of her. But it also complicated things. Was his interest in her genuine, or was she just a substitute, a way for him to work through his grief? "Penny for your thoughts?" The voice startled her. Maya looked up to see James standing there, dressed in a crisp suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. "You're supposed to be in meetings until 2, she said. He smiled and sat down beside her. "I rescheduled. More important things to attend to." "Like checking on me?" "Exactly like checking on me." His eyes scanned her face. "You look better today. The desert is already becoming a memory instead of a reality." "Physically maybe," Maya said. "But I'll remember hanging from that tree for the rest of my life." James nodded, his expression darkening. "The police caught 2 of them. The 3rd won't be free for long. Aisha told me. She also told me about your sister." James stiffened. "She shouldn't have done that." "I'm glad she did. It helps me understand why you're being so kind to a complete stranger." He was quiet for a long moment, staring at the swimming pool. "Melissa was my little sister. She was driving back from a hiking trip when her car went off the road in a remote area. No cell service. By the time another car came along." He shook his head. "But this isn't about Melissa. Yes, maybe seeing you hanging there brought back memories, but that's not why I'm helping you." "Then why?" Maya asked softly. James turned to look at her directly. "Because when I saw you open your eyes in the back of my SUV, when I realized we hadn't been too late after all, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Oh, maybe even joy. It sounds crazy, we just met and under the worst circumstances, but I feel connected to you somehow. The sincerity in his voice took Maya's breath away. It did sound crazy. It was crazy. And yet, sitting here beside him, she felt it too, a connection that defied logic or explanation. I'm a kindergarten teacher from the city, she said. You're a billionaire businessman. We're from different worlds. Maybe, James acknowledged. Or maybe we're exactly where we're supposed to be. Before Maya could respond, his phone rang. He grimaced apologetically and answered it. Warren. Yes. Are you sure? I see. Yes, bring all the information to my office immediately. He hung up and turned back to Maya. I'm sorry, but I have to go. That was my security team. They found the third bandit. Already? How? James looked slightly uncomfortable. I have resources, connections. When I want something found, it gets found. Maya wasn't sure if she should be impressed or concerned by the power he wielded so casually. What happens now? Now he joins his friends in jail, and you'll never have to worry about any of them again. James stood up. Have dinner with me tonight. There's a restaurant on the top floor of the hotel with a view of the entire valley. 8 o'clock. It wasn't really a question, but it wasn't a command either. It was somewhere in between, the invitation of a man used to getting what he wanted but trying to be respectful of her choice. All right, Maya said. 8 o'clock. His face lit up with a smile that transformed him from intimidating billionaire to simply a handsome man happy about a dinner date. Perfect. Wear the green dress that Aisha picked out. It'll look amazing on you. With that, he was gone, striding purposefully through the garden toward the hotel entrance, already back on his phone. Maya sat on the bench for a long time afterward, trying to sort through her feelings. Everything was happening so fast. 2 days ago, she had been a normal teacher with a normal life. Now she was having dinner with a billionaire who had saved her life, who claimed to feel a connection to her, who had resources to track down criminals overnight. It was overwhelming, exciting, terrifying. And despite all logic and reason, Maya found herself looking forward to dinner more than she'd looked forward to anything in a very long time. The green dress fit Maya perfectly, as if it had been made for her rather than hastily purchased by a stranger. It was elegant but simple, an emerald sheath that hugged her curves without being too revealing, falling just below her knees. Paired with the black heels and simple jewelry Aisha had included in the shopping bags, Maya hardly recognized herself in the mirror. Her braids were still not quite right, but she'd managed to gather them into an updo that looked intentional rather than the result of desert misadventure. The sunburn on her face had faded to a warm glow that actually complemented her dark skin. At precisely 7:55 p.m., the private elevator dinged. Maya took a deep breath and went to meet James. The doors opened to reveal him in a perfectly tailored dark suit, a crisp white shirt, and a tie that matched her dress so exactly that Maya wondered if Aisha had coordinated their outfits. James's eyes widened slightly as he took her in. You look stunning, he said simply. Thank you, Maya replied, feeling suddenly shy. You clean up pretty well yourself. He smiled. Ready to go? The restaurant occupied the entire top floor of the hotel, with glass walls offering a 360-degree view of the desert and mountains. The sun was setting, painting the landscape in golds and purples. A pianist played softly in the corner. Every table was occupied except for one in the center, clearly the best in the house. Mr. Warren, your table is ready, the maitre d' said, leading them to the reserved spot. As they walked through the restaurant, Maya noticed people watching them, whispering behind hands. Of course they were curious. James Warren was probably the most famous person to visit this small desert city in years, and now he was having dinner with an unknown woman. Once they were seated, James ordered champagne without consulting the menu. To celebrate your recovery, he explained. When the bubbly arrived, they clinked glasses. To second chances, James said, his eyes never leaving hers. Maya took a sip, savoring the expensive champagne. I've never had anything this fancy before. There's a first time for everything, James replied. And hopefully many more firsts to come. The waiter appeared to take their order, and Maya was grateful for the interruption. James's intensity was both flattering and a little overwhelming. So, James said once they were alone again. Tell me about Maya Thompson, kindergarten teacher from the city. There's not much to tell, Maya said with a small shrug. I grew up in a small town about 3 hours from here. My parents died when I was in college, car accident. My grandmother raised me after that. I got my teaching degree, moved to the city for work, and I've been teaching 5-year-olds for the past 7 years. Do you enjoy it? I love it, Maya said, her face lighting up. Every day is different. The children are all unique with their own personalities and challenges. Watching them learn and grow is incredible. You don't have any children of your own? James asked, then quickly added, I'm sorry, that's personal. You don't have to answer. It's okay, Maya said. No, I don't. Haven't found the right person to have them with, I guess. No boyfriend? Husband? Maya shook her head. Not for a while. My last relationship ended about a year ago. He was a doctor, always working, never had time for us. Eventually we just drifted apart. She took another sip of champagne. What about you? The magazines always show you with different beautiful women, but never the same one twice. James grimaced. The magazines exaggerate. Yes, I date, but less than they make it seem. It's hard to find someone interested in me rather than my bank account. I can imagine, Maya said. Though that's not a problem most people have to worry about. He laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his serious face. True. But everyone has their problems, just different kinds. The food arrived, exquisitely prepared and artfully presented. Maya had never tasted anything so delicious. As they ate, they continued talking, moving from personal histories to favorite books, movies, places they'd traveled. Maya discovered that beneath the businessman exterior, James was surprisingly down to earth. He'd grown up poor, the son of a single mother who worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. His rise to success hadn't been handed to him but earned through hard work and innovative ideas and renewable energy. I was in the right place at the right time, he said modestly. Solar power was just starting to be taken seriously, and I had some ideas about making it more efficient and accessible. That's more than just good timing, Maya pointed out. That's vision. James smiled at her. Maybe. But I've been lucky too. As the evening progressed, Maya found herself relaxing, enjoying his company. The initial intimidation she'd felt at his wealth and status faded as she got to know the man beneath the billionaire label. After dinner, James suggested they take a walk on the rooftop terrace that wrapped around the restaurant. The night was clear, stars blazing in the desert sky with an intensity Maya had never seen in the city. They stood at the railing, looking out at the vast darkness of the desert, illuminated only by moonlight and distant stars. It's beautiful, Maya said softly. So different from the city. There, you can hardly see any stars at all. That's one thing I love about the desert, James replied. It strips everything down to the essentials. No distractions. Just you and the elements. The elements nearly killed me, Maya reminded him. James turned to face her. Yes, but they didn't. You survived. That says something about your strength. Or about my luck in having you drive by. Maybe both. His hand found hers on the railing, his fingers warm against her skin. Maya, I know this is fast. Too fast probably. But I can't deny what I'm feeling. Maya's heart raced. She should pull her hand away. She should remind him and herself that they'd known each other for less than 2 days. That this could all be just the aftermath of trauma, gratitude mistaken for attraction. She didn't pull away. What are you feeling? She asked instead. Like I found something I didn't even know I was looking for. His voice was low, sincere. I've built a company, made more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, traveled the world. But until I saw you in that desert, I didn't realize how empty it all was. Maya felt dizzy, and not from the champagne. This was too much, too fast. And yet, James, His phone rang, an intrusive electronic chirp that shattered the moment. James closed his eyes briefly, frustration evident on his face, but he answered it. This better be important. What? When? Are you absolutely certain? No, don't do anything until I get there. I'm on my way. He hung up and turned back to Maya, his expression changed, all softness gone. I have to go. There's a situation at the office that needs my attention. At this hour? Business never sleeps, he said with a tight smile. Especially not mine. I'm sorry to cut this short. Can I walk you back to your suite? The mood was broken. Maya nodded, trying not to feel disappointed. Of course. They rode the elevator in silence. When they reached her floor, James stepped out with her. I had a wonderful time tonight, he said, some of the warmth returning to his voice. So did I. Tomorrow the police lineup. I'll come for you at 10 if that works? Maya nodded. Thank you for arranging that. And for dinner. And everything. James reached out, his hand gently touching her cheek. You don't have to thank me. Just seeing you recover, seeing you smile, that's enough. For a moment, Maya thought he might kiss her. Part of her wanted him to. But he just smiled, stepped back into the elevator and was gone. Maya entered her suite, her emotions in turmoil. She kicked off the heels and sank onto the plush sofa, replaying the evening in her mind. The conversation, the connection she'd felt, the almost kiss on the terrace. Then her teacher's brain kicked in, the practical, analytical part that had served her well through life. She was being swept away by a fantasy. Rescued by a handsome billionaire? Whisked away to luxury? It was like something out of a movie, not real life. In real life, men like James Warren didn't end up with kindergarten teachers. In real life, trauma and gratitude created false connections that didn't last. In real life, she would go back to her apartment and her classroom, and he would go back to his mansions and board meetings, and that would be that. Wouldn't it? Maya got up and walked to the window, looking out at the desert night. 2 days ago, she had been hanging upside down from a tree, certain she would die. Now she was in a luxury suite, wearing a designer dress, having just had dinner with one of the richest men in the country. Life could change in an instant. She knew that better than most. Her phone buzzed with a text message. Sorry about the interruption. Business emergency. But I meant what I said. Sleep well. JW. Maya smiled at the screen. Whatever happened tomorrow or the next day, whatever reality eventually asserted itself, right now she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The police station was a stark contrast to the luxury hotel. Fluorescent lights, hard plastic chairs, the smell of coffee and industrial cleaner. Maya sat in a small waiting room, James beside her, his presence solid and reassuring. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. They have enough evidence without your identification. Maya shook her head. I need to. For my own peace of mind. A detective approached, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes and practical shoes. Miss Thompson? I'm Detective Rivera. We're ready for you now. James stood. I'm coming too. The detective looked like she might object, then seemed to recognize who she was talking to. Fine. This way. They followed her down a hallway to a darkened room with a large one-way mirror. On the other side stood 6 men in a line, all similar in build and coloring. Maya immediately recognized 2 of them, the ones who had grabbed her from her car, who had laughed as they tied the rope around her ankles. Her stomach clenched. James must have sensed her distress because his hand found hers, squeezing gently. Take your time, Detective Rivera said. If you recognize any of these men as your attackers, tell me their number. Maya took a deep breath. Number 2 and number 5. The detective nodded. You're sure? Positive. Good. Thank you, Miss Thompson. Your testimony will help ensure they go away for a long time. Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They wouldn't hurt anyone else the way they had hurt her. What about the third man? She asked. Detective Rivera and James exchanged a look that Maya couldn't quite interpret. He's being processed at another facility, the detective said carefully. But he's in custody. Back in James's SUV, Maya finally asked the question that had been bothering her. What really happened with the third bandit? The one your security team found. James was quiet for a moment, his hands tight on the steering wheel. Does it matter? He's no longer a threat to you or anyone else. It matters to me, Maya said firmly. James sighed. My security team tracked him to a bar in a town about 50 miles from here. He was resistant to coming quietly. There was an altercation. He's in the hospital under police guard with a broken jaw and a few other injuries. Maya digested this. Your security team did that? They defended themselves, James said, his voice hardening. He pulled a knife. And the police are okay with this? The police are happy to have a dangerous criminal off the streets, however it happened. Maya stared out the window, troubled. The James she'd had dinner with last night, the charming, thoughtful man with the sad past and hopeful future, seemed very different from this. Man who casually mentioned having his security team beat someone badly enough to require hospitalization. You disapprove, James noted, glancing at her. I don't know what to think, Maya admitted. Everything's happening so fast. 2 days ago I was a normal person with a normal life. Now I'm in the middle of, what exactly? What is this, James? He was quiet for so long that Maya thought he might not answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but intense. I don't know either. All I know is that finding you in that desert changed something in me. Woke something up. He paused. I've been alone for a long time, Maya. Yes, I have money and power and all the things people think they want. But I don't have anyone to share it with. Anyone who sees me, not my bank account. And you think that's me? A kindergarten teacher you found hanging from a tree? I think it could be. He pulled into the hotel driveway and turned to face her. I'm not perfect, Maya. I've done things I'm not proud of. Built walls to protect myself. But when I'm with you, I feel like those walls are coming down. His sincerity was disarming. Maya wanted to believe him, wanted to think that something good could come from her terrible ordeal. But it all seemed so unlikely, so fragile. I need time, she said finally. This is all too much. James nodded. I understand. Your car should be fixed by tomorrow. If you want to go home, then I won't try to stop you. But I hope you'll consider staying a little longer. Before Maya could respond, a commotion at the hotel entrance caught their attention. A group of photographers and reporters had gathered, cameras flashing. Damn it, James muttered. The press found out I'm here. A hotel security guard hurried to the SUV. Mr. Warren, sir. They're asking about you and the lady. Someone tipped them off. James's face darkened. Get Miss Thompson inside through the service entrance. I'll deal with the press. The guard nodded. This way, ma'am. Maya allowed herself to be led through a side door and back corridors to the service elevator. From there she returned to her suite, her mind spinning. She turned on the TV and flipped to a local news channel. Sure enough, there was James outside the hotel, surrounded by reporters shouting questions. Mr. Warren, is it true you rescued a woman in the desert? James, who is the mystery woman you had dinner with last night? Are the rumors about a new romance true? James handled them with practiced ease, neither confirming nor denying anything, deflecting questions with vague statements about being in town on business. He looked completely in control, the powerful businessman used to managing the media. Maya turned off the TV, suddenly exhausted. The police lineup had been more draining than she'd expected, and now this new complication. She lay down on the bed, intending just to rest for a few minutes. She woke to the sound of knocking. Disoriented, Maya checked the time, 3:45 p.m. She'd slept for hours. The knocking came again, more insistent. Maya went to the door and checked the peephole. It was Aisha, James's assistant. Sorry to wake you, Aisha said when Maya opened the door. But we have a situation. What kind of situation? Maya asked, stepping back to let her in. Aisha's usually calm demeanor was ruffled. The press. They've identified you. Someone at the hospital or police station must have talked. They're running stories about James Warren's desert rescue romance. She handed Maya a tablet. On the screen was a local news website with the headline, Billionaire's Desert Romance? Tech mogul James Warren spotted with rescued teacher Maya Thompson. There was a photo of them entering the police station that morning, James's hand on the small of her back, guiding her. Another photo showed them at dinner the night before, their faces illuminated by candlelight as they leaned toward each other across the table. Oh no, Maya whispered. It gets worse, Aisha said grimly, scrolling down. They've dug into your background. Found your social media accounts, contacted your school. There's even a quote from your principal saying you're a dedicated teacher and wonderful person who deserves happiness. Maya sat down heavily on the sofa. This is insane. I'm nobody. Why would anyone care about this? James is a public figure. One of the richest men in the country, young, handsome, single. His love life has always been of interest to the media. Aisha's voice softened. For what it's worth, I've never seen them this excited about him dating someone before. We're not dating. Maya protested. We just met. Under crazy circumstances. Tell that to the press, Aisha said. They love the story. Handsome billionaire rescues beautiful teacher from certain death in the desert. It's like a movie plot. Maya groaned and covered her face with her hands. What am I supposed to do now? I can't go outside with reporters everywhere. James thought you might feel that way. He's arranged for you to stay at his private residence outside the city. It's secure, gated. No press can get anywhere near it. Maya looked up sharply. He wants me to stay at his house? It's more of an estate, really, Aisha said. And he has a guest house you can use, completely private. It's the safest place for you right now, at least until this blows over. And when would that be? Aisha shrugged. A few days? A week? The news cycle moves quickly, but... She hesitated. But what? Maya prompted. But if you and James are seen together again, it will just restart the frenzy. The implication was clear. If Maya wanted the press attention to stop, she would need to stop seeing James entirely. The thought made her stomach twist unexpectedly. Despite the craziness, despite how fast everything was happening, she had come to enjoy his company. To look forward to seeing him. Maybe even to feel something more than gratitude. What does James say about all this? She asked. He's furious about the invasion of your privacy. He's already called the editor of the local paper and threatened legal action. Aisha's lips twitched in a small smile. He's very protective of you. Maya wasn't sure how to feel about that. On one hand, it was touching that he cared. On the other, the casual way he wielded his power, threatening legal action, having his security team track down and beat a suspect, arranging for her to move to his estate, was unsettling. When would I go to this estate? Tonight, if possible. James sent me to help you pack. He's handling the press and will meet us there. Maya looked around the luxurious suite that had been her safe haven for the past 2 days. Going to James's home felt like crossing a line, moving their undefined relationship into new territory. But what choice did she have? She couldn't face a gauntlet of reporters. She couldn't put her school and students through that kind of media circus. All right, she said finally. I'll go. Aisha looked relieved. Good. I'll help you pack the things we bought. The car will be ready in an hour. As they gathered the clothes and toiletries, Maya tried to sort through her conflicted feelings. Part of her was excited to see where James lived, to spend more time with him away from the press. Another part was wary of becoming more entangled in his world, a world so different from her own. And a small voice in the back of her mind whispered a question she couldn't ignore. What would happen when she eventually returned to her normal life? Because surely she would, sooner or later. This fantasy, being rescued by a billionaire, staying in luxury hotels and private estates, couldn't last forever. Could it? James Warren's estate was like nothing Maya had ever seen outside of movies. Located about 30 minutes from the city, it sprawled across what must have been hundreds of acres of desert land, transformed into an oasis by careful landscaping and unlimited resources. A tall security gate opened automatically as their car approached. They drove up a long, winding driveway lined with palm trees and desert flowers, finally emerging at a circular courtyard in front of the main house. House was an understatement. The structure was a modernist masterpiece of glass, stone, and steel, designed to blend with the desert landscape while still making a statement about the owner's wealth and taste. Aisha, who was driving, seemed unfazed by the opulence. The guest house is over there, she said, pointing to a smaller building, though smaller was relative as it still looked bigger than Maya's entire apartment building. That's the guest house? Maya asked incredulously. Aisha smiled. James likes his space. And his privacy. They parked, and a uniformed staff member appeared to carry Maya's bags. She followed him and Aisha along a stone path to the guest house, which turned out to be just as luxurious inside as it appeared from the outside. This is all for me? Maya asked, taking in the spacious living room with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a private pool. All yours, Aisha confirmed. The fridge is stocked, there's a housekeeper who comes in the morning, and security patrols the perimeter 24/7. You'll be completely safe and private here. Where's James? Still dealing with the press situation. He should be back in a few hours. Aisha handed Maya a small device that looked like a smartphone. This is an internal communication system. You can use it to reach James, me, or any of the staff if you need anything. After Aisha left, Maya explored her temporary home. Besides the stunning living room, there was a gourmet kitchen, a dining area, a home office, and 2 bedrooms with attached bathrooms. Everything was decorated in earth tones that complemented the desert setting, with occasional splashes of vibrant color in the artwork and furnishings. It was beautiful, peaceful, and entirely overwhelming. Maya went outside to the pool area, which was surrounded by flowering cacti and desert plants. The water looked inviting in the late afternoon heat. On a table nearby, she found a neatly folded swimsuit in what appeared to be her size, with a note. Thought you might enjoy a swim. Jay. How had he known? Or had he just guessed? Either way, the thoughtfulness of the gesture touched her. Maya changed into the swimsuit, a simple but elegant one-piece in deep blue, and slipped into the pool. The water was the perfect temperature, cool but not cold. She floated on her back, looking up at the clear blue sky, trying to process everything that had happened. 4 days ago, she had been a regular kindergarten teacher driving to visit her grandmother. 3 days ago, she had been hanging upside down from a tree in the desert, certain she would die. Now she was swimming in a private pool at a billionaire's estate, hiding from the press who thought she was his new girlfriend. Life could change in an instant. Maya knew that better than most. She wasn't sure how long she'd been swimming when she heard footsteps on the stone patio. Looking up, she saw James watching her from the edge of the pool, his expression unreadable. Hi, she said, suddenly self-conscious in the swimsuit. Hi yourself, he replied. I see you found the pool. And the swimsuit. Maya swam to the edge nearest him and rested her arms on the stone surround. Thank you for thinking of it. And for. She gestured around, all of this. James sat down on one of the lounge chairs, loosening his tie. He looked tired, the strain of the day evident in the tight lines around his eyes. I'm sorry about the press, he said. I should have been more careful. It's not your fault. It is, actually. He ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. I'm used to the attention. I should have anticipated this. Now your privacy has been invaded, your normal life disrupted. Maya pulled herself out of the pool and wrapped a towel around her waist. She sat on the chair opposite him. My normal life was already disrupted when those men left me hanging in the desert. James winced. Fair point. Still, you didn't ask for any of this. Neither did you, Maya said softly. You could have just dropped me at the hospital and gone on with your life. Instead, you've gone above and beyond to help me. He looked at her then, his dark eyes intense. I told you. There's something about you, Maya. Something that made it impossible for me to just walk away. The air between them seemed to thicken with unspoken feelings. Maya was acutely aware of her wet swimsuit, of James's gaze, of the private setting with no one else around for acres. I should change, she said, breaking the moment. James nodded. Of course. I'll have dinner sent over in about an hour, if that works for you. You don't have to keep feeding me, Maya said with a small smile. I can make my own dinner. I know you can. But I'd like to join you if that's okay. We can talk about what happens next. What happens next? The question that had been hanging over them since the beginning. All right, Maya agreed. 1 hour. She retreated to her bedroom to shower and change. As the hot water washed away the chlorine from the pool, Maya tried to prepare herself for the conversation to come. What did she want to happen next? To go home, back to her small apartment and classroom? To stay here in this luxury, with this fascinating man who seemed so drawn to her? Both options felt impossible in different ways. Maya dressed in simple jeans and a blouse, not wanting to appear like she was trying too hard, but still wanting to look nice. She was brushing her hair when there was a knock at the front door. She opened it to find not James, but a staff member wheeling a cart laden with covered dishes and a bottle of wine. Mr. Warren asked me to deliver this, ma'am. He'll be joining you shortly. Thank you, Maya said, stepping aside to let him arrange everything on the dining table. The man worked efficiently, setting the table, uncorking the wine, and arranging the food before departing with a small bow. Maya was examining the elaborate spread when James arrived, now changed from his business suit into more casual clothes. Dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt that somehow looked more expensive than her entire wardrobe. I hope you're hungry, he said. The chef got a bit carried away. It looks amazing, Maya said honestly, taking a seat as James held her chair. He poured wine for both of them and sat across from her. I wanted to talk to you about the press situation. Maya took a sip of wine, it was excellent of course, and nodded for him to continue. My legal team is sending cease and desist letters to the more aggressive outlets. The local paper has agreed to retract their story about you in exchange for an exclusive interview with me about my new solar project. That's efficient, Maya said, not sure how else to respond to his casual manipulation of the media. It's damage control, James corrected. But it won't stop the speculation entirely. Not as long as... He hesitated. Not as long as what? Not as long as we're seen together, he finished. The press loves a potential romance, especially one with such dramatic beginnings. Maya set down her fork. So what are you saying? That we shouldn't see each other anymore? James looked pained. That's the last thing I want. But I need you to understand what being associated with me means. Loss of privacy. Scrutiny. Speculation about your motives. It's not an easy life. I'm getting a taste of that already, Maya said dryly. This is nothing, James warned. Trust me. They ate in silence for a moment, the unspoken question hanging between them. Finally Maya asked it. What do you want, James? From me, from whatever this is between us. He set down his wine glass carefully. I want to know you, Maya Thompson. I want to see if this connection I feel is real or just the result of extraordinary circumstances. I want to find out if the woman who survived hanging upside down in the desert is someone I could. He paused, choosing his words. Someone who could fit into my life. And I in hers. It was the most honest answer he could have given, and Maya appreciated that. No flowery declarations of love, no promises he couldn't keep. Just a desire to explore what might be possible. And what about what I want? She asked quietly. That's exactly what I'm asking. What do you want, Maya? She took a deep breath. I want my life back. My classroom, my students, my small apartment with the leaky faucet that the landlord never fixes. She saw disappointment flash across his face and hurried on. But I also want to understand this thing between us. This connection that doesn't make any logical sense but feels so real. Hope replaced the disappointment in his eyes. So you feel it too? Yes, Maya admitted. I don't understand it, but yes. James reached across the table and took her hand. Then let's figure it out together. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other. Under rather unusual circumstances, Maya pointed out. He smiled. I've never been much for doing things the conventional way. What about the press? My job? My life. We'll handle the press. As for your job. He hesitated. How much leave time do you have? Maya thought about it. 2 weeks of personal days I haven't used this year. Why? Take them, James suggested. Stay here where it's private and safe until the press loses interest. Get to know me. Let me get to know you. After that, if you want to go back to your old life, I'll make sure you can do so with minimal disruption. And if I don't? Want to go back, I mean. The question surprised them both. James's eyes darkened with an emotion Maya couldn't quite name. Then we'll figure that out too, he said softly. It was tempting. 2 weeks in this beautiful place, away from the press, getting to know this fascinating man who had saved her life and seemed so drawn to her. 2 weeks to see if the connection they both felt was real or just an illusion born of trauma and gratitude. All right, Maya said finally. 2 weeks. James smiled, a genuine smile that lit up his whole face. 2 weeks. As they continued their dinner, talking more easily now that a decision had been made, Maya felt both excitement and apprehension. She was stepping into unknown territory, a world of wealth and privilege she had never experienced before. But perhaps that was fitting. After all, hanging upside down in the desert had already pushed her beyond any limits she'd known before. Maybe this was just the next step in a journey that had begun with near-death and might lead to, what? That was what the next 2 weeks would help her discover. The days at James's estate fell into a surprisingly comfortable rhythm. Maya would wake early, a habit from years of teaching, and enjoy coffee on her private patio. Around mid-morning, James would join her, if he wasn't in video meetings or handling business calls. They spent their time together in simple activities, walking the extensive grounds, swimming in the pool, playing chess. James was better, but Maya was a quick learner. In the evenings they would have dinner together, sometimes in the main house's formal dining room, sometimes as a casual picnic beside the pool. Through it all they talked. Really talked in a way Maya hadn't experienced with anyone before. James told her about growing up poor, about his brilliant but overworked mother who had instilled in him both ambition and compassion. He shared stories about the early days of his company, working out of a garage with just 2 employees, pouring every penny into research and development. And he told her about Melissa, his sister who had died alone on a desert road. Maya finally understood the full weight of what finding her in the desert had meant to him. A chance to save someone when he couldn't save his sister. In turn, Maya shared her own stories. Her childhood in a small town, her parents' death when she was 19, the grief and confusion of suddenly being an adult orphan. Her decision to become a teacher, inspired by the elementary school teacher who had helped her through her parents' deaths. Her love for her students, her frustration with the educational system that didn't give them what they needed. You light up when you talk about your classroom, James observed one evening as they sat on the terrace of the main house, watching the sunset paint the desert in shades of orange and pink. Do I? Maya smiled. I miss them. My kids. They're probably wondering where I am. Your principal told them you had a family emergency, James said. Aisha checked. Maya raised an eyebrow. Is there anything your assistant doesn't handle? Not much, James admitted with a laugh. She's been with me since the beginning. Knows me better than anyone. She cares about you, Maya said. It's obvious. The feeling is mutual. Without Aisha, I'd probably work myself to death and forget to eat. They fell into a comfortable silence, watching as the last rays of sun disappeared behind the mountains. James reached over and took Maya's hand, his thumb tracing small circles on her palm. What are you thinking? He asked. That this doesn't feel real, she answered honestly. Being here with you. It's like a dream I'm going to wake up from. His hand tightened around hers. It's real, Maya. I'm real. She turned to look at him, this man who had crashed into her life so unexpectedly. In the week she'd been at his estate, she'd seen many sides of him. The brilliant businessman, the generous philanthropist, the haunted brother, the playful companion. Each facet made her more intrigued, more drawn to him. "James," she said softly, "what happens when these 2 weeks are over?" He was quiet for a long moment. "What do you want to happen?" "I don't know," Maya admitted. "My life before feels so far away now. But this," she gestured around at the luxurious surroundings, "this isn't my world." "It could be," James said simply. The implication hung in the air between them. He wasn't just talking about extending her stay. He was talking about something more permanent, something life-changing. Before Maya could respond, James's phone rang. The special tone she'd learned meant an important business call that couldn't wait. "I'm sorry," he said, looking genuinely regretful. "I need to take this construction issue at the new plant site." Maya nodded. "Go. I'll be fine." After he left, she remained on the terrace, watching as stars appeared one by one in the darkening sky. James's words echoed in her mind. It could be. Could it though? Could she really belong in this world of wealth and privilege? Would she have to give up teaching, the career she loved? What would she be in James's life? Arm candy for galas and business dinners. The rescued teacher who became the billionaire's wife? The word appeared in her mind unbidden, shocking her with its presumption. They hadn't even kissed yet, despite the obvious attraction between them. And here she was thinking about marriage? Maya stood up abruptly and walked to the edge of the terrace. The desert stretched out before her, vast and unchanged by human desires or fears. It had almost killed her once. Now it was the backdrop to the most confusing, exciting time of her life. She didn't hear James return until he spoke from behind her. "I'm sorry about that," he said. Crisis averted. Maya turned to face him. "James, Whatever she had been about to say died on her lips as she saw his expression. He was looking at her with such intensity, such raw emotion, that it took her breath away. In 3 steps he was standing in front of her. His hands came up to frame her face, gentle despite the urgency in his eyes. "Maya," he said, her name a question and an answer all at once. She nodded, the slightest movement, but it was enough. James lowered his head and kissed her, softly at first, then with growing passion as she responded. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close against his solid warmth. Maya's hands found their way to his shoulders, his neck, his hair. The kiss deepened, became something more than either of them had expected. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I've been wanting to do that since the first day," James admitted, his voice rough. "Why didn't you?" Maya asked, her hands still resting on his chest, feeling his racing heart. "I didn't want you to think I rescued you with expectations. That my help came with conditions." His fingers traced the curve of her cheek. "And I wanted to be sure this was real. That it wasn't just gratitude on your part or some savior complex on mine." "And now?" Maya whispered. "Now I know," James said simply. "What I feel for you has nothing to do with desert rescues or media stories. It's about who you are, Maya. Your strength, your kindness, your passion for teaching, the way you laugh, the way you challenge me." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like this, with such conviction and clarity. It was overwhelming and perfect all at once. "I feel it too," she admitted. "Even though it makes no logical sense. Even though our worlds are so different." James kissed her again, more gently this time. "Maybe that's why it works. We balance each other." They stood there on the terrace, holding each other under the desert stars, neither wanting to break the spell of the moment. But eventually reality intruded. "It's getting late," James said reluctantly. "And I have an early video conference tomorrow." Maya nodded, equally reluctant to end the evening. "I should go back to the guest house." "I'll walk you." Hand in hand, they strolled along the path that connected the main house to the guest house. The night was quiet except for the occasional call of a desert bird or the rustle of wind through the cacti. At her door, James kissed her again lightly. "Good night, Maya." "Good night, James." Inside, Maya leaned against the closed door, her heart pounding, her lips still tingling from his kiss. What had started as a desert nightmare was transforming into something she'd never dared to dream. But as she got ready for bed, doubts crept in. Was this all happening too fast? Was she getting caught up in a fantasy that couldn't last? When the 2 weeks were over, then what? Maya fell asleep with these questions swirling in her mind, but for once, the answers didn't seem as important as the journey to find them. The next morning, Maya woke to the sound of her phone ringing. Her real phone, the one she'd had before the desert incident, now replaced by James's tech team with all her contacts and photos intact. Hello, she answered groggily. Maya? Thank goodness. I've been trying to reach you for days. It was Lisa, her best friend and fellow teacher. Maya sat up quickly. Lisa? What's wrong? What's wrong? You disappear for over a week, the principal tells us you had some family emergency, and then I see your face plastered all over the internet with some billionaire. What the hell is going on? Maya winced. She had texted Lisa a brief message saying she was okay but hadn't given any details, partly because the story was so unbelievable and partly because she'd been wrapped up in the James bubble. It's a long story, she said. I've got time, Lisa replied firmly. So Maya told her everything. The car breakdown, the bandits hanging in the desert, James's rescue, the hotel, the press, the estate. As she spoke, she realized how insane it all sounded, like the plot of a far-fetched movie rather than something that had actually happened to Maya Thompson, kindergarten teacher. Holy shit, Lisa said when Maya finally finished. So now you're living at his mansion? And you kissed last night? Guest house, technically. And yes, we kissed. Maya couldn't help the smile that spread across her face at the memory. Maya? Lisa's voice turned serious. Be careful. This is all happening so fast. You've been through a trauma and he's not exactly a regular guy, is he? I know, Maya sighed. Believe me, I've had all these thoughts myself. But Lisa, there's something between us. Something real. Just don't make any hasty decisions, okay? Your apartment is still here. Your classroom is still here. Your real life is waiting for you. My real life, Maya repeated softly. Yes. After hanging up, Maya felt unsettled. Lisa's concern had broken through the beautiful bubble she'd been living in, reminding her of the world outside the estate gates. A world where she was a teacher with rent to pay and students who needed her, not a billionaire's girlfriend hiding from the press. She was deep in these thoughts when a knock came at the door. It was Aisha, looking unusually tense. Good morning, Maya greeted her. Is everything okay? James asked me to come see you, Aisha said, stepping inside. There's been a development with the press situation. Maya's stomach clenched. What kind of development? Aisha handed her a tablet. On the screen was a gossip website with the headline, Billionaire's New Love Interest. Who is Maya Thompson and what's her real connection to James Warren? The article beneath was full of insinuations and speculation, that Maya had somehow engineered the desert rescue to trap a wealthy man, that she and James had actually known each other before, that she was after his money. Worst of all, they dug up details about her financial situation, her modest teacher's salary, her student loan debt, her small apartment in an unfashionable part of the city. They're making me sound like a gold digger, Maya said, her voice shaking with anger and hurt. It's what they do, Aisha said gently. Find a negative angle, create controversy. It sells more ads. But how did they get all this information about me? Public records, social media, interviews with people who claim to know you. Some of it's probably made up entirely. Maya scrolled through the article, feeling sicker with each paragraph. They'd even found and interviewed an ex-boyfriend, who claimed she had always been looking to trade up. This is character assassination, she said quietly. James is furious, Aisha told her. He's got his legal team preparing a defamation suit. But he wanted me to warn you before you saw it yourself. Where is he? In an emergency meeting with his PR team and lawyers. He'll come see you as soon as he can. After Aisha left, Maya sat on the couch, the tablet on the coffee table in front of her, the hurtful article still glowing on the screen. She felt violated, exposed, misrepresented. All because she had caught the attention of a famous man. Her phone rang again, this time her grandmother. Maya, honey, are you okay? I just saw the most awful things online. Maya's heart sank. If her 78-year-old grandmother who barely used the internet had seen the article, it must be spreading widely. I'm okay, Grandma. It's all lies. Of course it is. I know my granddaughter. But honey, what have you gotten yourself into? This billionaire fellow, is he worth all this trouble? Was he? The question echoed in Maya's mind long after she'd reassured her grandmother and ended the call. James didn't arrive until late afternoon. He looked haggard, like he hadn't slept, his usual composure replaced by barely contained anger. I'm so sorry, he said, taking her hands in his. This is exactly what I was afraid would happen. It's not your fault, Maya said, though part of her wanted to blame him. After all, it was his fame and wealth that had put a target on her back. It is, he insisted. I should have been more careful. Should have protected you better. He pulled her into his arms and Maya let herself be held, drawing comfort from his solid presence despite her mixed feelings. We're fighting back, James told her. The legal team is sending cease and desist letters. The PR team is preparing a statement. We'll clear your name. But the damage is already done, Maya said, pulling back to look at him. People have read those lies. My grandmother read them. My colleagues, my students' parents, they've probably all seen it by now. James's face darkened. I know. And I'm going to make them pay for hurting you. The intensity in his voice was both reassuring and frightening. This was the James she had glimpsed before, the powerful man who got what he wanted, who made things happen with a word or a gesture. So different from the gentle, thoughtful man who had walked with her in the desert garden or taught her chess moves by the pool. What happens now? She asked. Now we fight back. Clear your name. And then. He hesitated. And then we decide what we want this to be. Us. Maya stepped away from him, needing space to think. James, I need to go home. What? His face registered shock, then hurt. Because of the article? Maya, don't let them chase you away. It's not just the article, she said. Though that's part of it. It's all of this. The bubble we've been living in here. It's not real life. It's been real to me, James said quietly. To me too, Maya admitted. But I need to face reality. My job, my apartment, my life. I can't hide here forever. You're not hiding. You're healing. Recovering. From what happened in the desert, yes. But now I need to recover my life. She took a deep breath. The press is making me out to be a gold digger because I'm a teacher with student loans living in a tiny apartment while you. And they're not completely wrong about the differences between us. Those differences don't matter to me, James insisted. Maybe they should, Maya said softly. What would I be in your world, James? The rescued teacher? The charity case turned girlfriend? How could I ever be your equal? Pain flashed across his face. Is that how you see yourself? As less than me because I have money? No. But it's how the world sees me. How they'll always see me. James ran a hand through his hair in frustration. I don't care what the world thinks. Maybe you don't have to. But I do. Maya squared her shoulders. I need to go back. Face whatever's waiting for me there. Deal with it on my own terms. You don't have to deal with it alone, James argued. Let me help you. That's just it. I need to know I can handle this myself. That I'm not dependent on you or your resources. They stood facing each other, the gulf between their worlds suddenly visible in a way it hadn't been before. Maya saw understanding dawn slowly in James's eyes, followed by resignation. When? He asked simply. Tomorrow. I need to get back to work on Monday. James nodded, his expression carefully controlled. I'll have Aisha make the arrangements. Thank you. He started to leave, then turned back. Maya, what happened between us? What's happening between us? It's real. At least for me. For me too, she said softly. But I need time to figure out if it can work in the real world, not just in this beautiful bubble. He nodded again, and then he was gone, leaving Maya alone with her thoughts and the ghost of last night's kiss still on her lips. That night, she packed the clothes and items Aisha had purchased for her, leaving behind the designer dresses and expensive jewelry. She didn't want to take more than she needed. Didn't want to feed the narrative of the gold-digging teacher. She slept fitfully, her dreams troubled by hanging desert trees and faceless reporters with cameras, waking in the pre-dawn hours with a sense of both loss and determination. As the sun rose over the desert, painting the landscape in soft gold, Maya knew she was making the right decision. She had to face reality, had to reclaim her life and her identity separate from James Warren and his world. Only then could she truly decide if their worlds could merge, if the connection they felt was strong enough to bridge the chasm between them. Only then could she be sure that she was choosing James the man, not James the billionaire rescuer. Only then could she be worthy of the love she saw in his eyes. The journey back to the city felt like traveling between worlds. James had insisted on having his driver take her, though he himself had not come to see her off. Maya understood why. Seeing him might have weakened her resolve, but his absence still hurt. Aisha had been there instead, professional as always but with genuine warmth in her goodbye. He'll wait for you, she had said simply. Take the time you need. Now, watching the desert landscape give way to suburbs and then city blocks, Maya felt both relief and apprehension. What would be waiting for her? How bad was the fallout from the gossip article? The car pulled up in front of her apartment building, so ordinary, so familiar after the luxury of the past 2 weeks. Maya thanked the driver and declined his offer to carry her bag upstairs. She needed to do this on her own. Her apartment was exactly as she'd left it nearly 2 weeks ago. Dishes in the sink, a half-empty coffee cup on the counter, mail piled on the table. It looked small and shabby after the estate, but it was hers, paid for with her own hard-earned money. Maya unpacked, did laundry, sorted through mail, all the mundane tasks of normal life. They were comforting in their ordinariness. By evening she felt almost like herself again. Maya Thompson, kindergarten teacher, not Maya Thompson, billionaire's mysterious girlfriend. Until her phone rang. Maya? It's Principal Jenkins. Do you have a moment to talk? Maya's stomach clenched. Of course. I assume you're planning to return on Monday? Yes, I am. Good. There was an awkward pause. Maya, I need to ask about these stories in the press. The school board has been receiving calls from concerned parents. Maya closed her eyes briefly. The stories are lies. I was attacked by bandits and left in the desert. James Warren and his assistant found me by chance and saved my life. Everything else the press is saying is fabrication. I see. Another pause. And your relationship with Mr. Warren? Is my private business, Maya said firmly, then immediately regretted her tone. I'm sorry that came out wrong. There is a connection between us, yes. But it developed after the rescue, and it has nothing to do with my work as a teacher. I understand. But you must see how this looks. The publicity, the rumors, it's disruptive to the school environment. I know, Maya sighed. And I'm sorry for that. But I can't control what the press writes about me. No, you can't. Principal Jenkins's voice softened. For what it's worth, I don't believe a word of those terrible articles. You're one of our best teachers, Maya. But the board is concerned about the disruption. What are you saying? I'm saying be prepared for questions on Monday. From the board, from parents, even from the children. And it might be wise to keep your personal life very separate from your professional one for a while. After the call ended, Maya sat on her couch, staring at nothing. She had known there would be consequences, but hearing it from her principal made it real in a way the gossip articles hadn't. Her phone buzzed with a text message from James. Did you get home safely? She stared at the screen for a long moment before replying, yes. Thank you for the car. Can I call you? Maya hesitated, then typed, not tonight. I need time. The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, I understand. I miss you already. Tears pricked Maya's eyes. She missed him too, more than she wanted to admit. But she needed this separation, this time to figure out what she truly wanted. The weekend passed in a blur of preparation for returning to work. Maya reviewed lesson plans, caught up on emails, and tried to ignore the occasional text from an unfamiliar number. Journalists still trying to get her story. Monday morning arrived all too quickly. Maya dressed carefully in a professional but conservative outfit, applied minimal makeup, and pulled her braids back into a neat bun. She wanted to look composed, unaffected by the scandals swirling around her. Outside her apartment building, she spotted a car that looked out of place on her modest street. Too new, too expensive. As she walked toward the bus stop, it pulled alongside her, and the window rolled down to reveal a woman with a camera. Miss Thompson, can we have a statement about your relationship with James Warren? Maya kept walking, head high, ignoring the woman's calls and the camera clicking behind her. At the bus stop, more people than usual seemed to be staring at her, some whispering behind their hands. The bus ride to school was tense, but nothing compared to what awaited her there. As she approached the building, she saw a small group of reporters and photographers at the entrance. Principal Jenkins was standing at the door, arms crossed, looking furious. Miss Thompson. Over here. Maya. Is it true you staged the desert incident to meet James Warren? How long have you really known the billionaire? The questions flew at her as she walked quickly toward the school entrance. Principal Jenkins stepped forward to meet her. This is private property. All of you need to leave immediately or I'll call the police, he announced firmly, then ushered Maya inside. I'm so sorry, Maya said once they were in the safety of the school hallway. I had no idea they would come here. Neither did I, he said grimly. I've called an emergency meeting with the school board for this afternoon. Until then, try to focus on your class. But focusing was nearly impossible. The children, perceptive as always, noticed her distraction. And several parents who came to drop off their kids gave her strange looks, some curious, some disapproving. By lunchtime, Maya felt like she was under a microscope. The other teachers were divided, some supportive, some clearly believing the worst of the gossip. One even had the audacity to ask if James Warren was as rich as they said, her tone making it clear what she thought of Maya's supposed gold digging. The afternoon school board meeting was even worse. Seated at a long table facing 5 stern-faced board members, Maya felt like she was on trial. Miss Thompson, the board chair began, while your personal life is your own affair, the disruption to this school is a matter of concern to all of us. I understand, Maya said, and I deeply regret any disruption. But I was the victim in this situation, first of a criminal attack and now of irresponsible journalism. Nevertheless, another board member cut in, we have to consider the impact on the children and the school's reputation. The message became clear as the meeting continued. Maya was a liability. While they weren't firing her, they had no legal grounds to do so. They strongly suggested she take a leave of absence until the media attention died down. You have accumulated sick days and personal time, the board chair pointed out. Perhaps it would be best to use them now. Maya felt a surge of anger and injustice. She was being pushed out for something that wasn't her fault. But arguing would only make things worse. I'll consider it, she said stiffly. Walking home that evening, she had missed her usual bus during the meeting. Maya felt defeated. The very independence she had sought by returning to her life seemed to be slipping away. The press had tainted her reputation, made her job precarious, turned her colleagues against her. All because a billionaire had saved her life and fallen for her. As she approached her apartment building, she saw a familiar figure waiting outside, James. He was dressed casually without his usual business attire, and he looked as tired as she felt. When he saw her, his face lit up briefly before concern took over. Maya, he said simply. What are you doing here? She asked, not unkindly, just weary. I needed to see you. To make sure you're okay. He studied her face. Which clearly you're not. It's been a rough day, she admitted. Let me buy you dinner. Please. We can talk. She should say no. She had come back specifically to establish her independence from him. But the thought of going up to her empty apartment, replaying the day's humiliations alone, was unbearable. All right, she agreed. But somewhere quiet. No fancy restaurants. They ended up at a small diner a few blocks away, the kind of place Maya frequented but that James had probably never set foot in. If the vinyl booths and laminated menus bothered him, he didn't show it. Over cheap coffee and diner food, Maya told him about her day, the reporters at school, the whispers, the board meeting. They want me to take a leave of absence, she concluded. As if I've done something wrong. James's expression darkened. This is exactly what I was afraid would happen. The press is ruthless. I know that now, Maya said ruefully. But I still had to try. Had to see if I could handle it on my own. And can you? The question was gentle, not judgmental. Maya looked down at her coffee cup. I don't know. I love my job. Love my students. But now I'm a distraction, a scandal. How can I teach effectively when everyone is whispering about me behind my back? James reached across the table and took her hand. I'm sorry, Maya. So sorry that knowing me has cost you so much. The sincerity in his voice nearly broke her. It's not your fault, she said. You didn't ask for this any more than I did. No, but my life comes with this burden. The scrutiny, the loss of privacy. He squeezed her hand. I understand if it's too much. If I'm too much. Maya looked at him then, really looked at him. Not James Warren the billionaire but James the man. The man who had saved her life. The man who had shared his past and his pain with her. The man who had kissed her under desert stars and made her feel things she'd never felt before. You're not too much, she said softly. You're just complicated. And so is this situation. Relief flickered across his face. So where do we go from here? It was the question that had been haunting Maya since she left the estate. Where did they go from here? Back to their separate worlds? Or forward into something new together? I don't know, she admitted. I can't go back to the estate and hide away forever. But I don't know if I can stay here either, not with the press watching my every move. What if there was a third option? James asked, his eyes intent on hers. What kind of option? I have a project starting in Costa Rica next month. A solar power installation for rural communities. I'll be there for at least 3 months, overseeing the initial setup. He paused. You could come with me. Maya blinked in surprise. To Costa Rica? They need teachers there, Maya. English teachers specifically. Aisha checked. There's a school near the project site that would be thrilled to have someone with your qualifications, even temporarily. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Leave everything behind? Go to another country? With James? You've thought about this, she said, not quite a question. I've thought of little else since you left, he admitted. How to be with you without destroying your life here. And you think Costa Rica is the answer? I think it's a beginning, James said. Time away from the press. A chance for us to be together without the spotlight. You'd still be teaching, still be independent. And when we come back, maybe the story will have died down enough for you to return to your school if that's what you want. It was tempting. So tempting. A fresh start, a new adventure, a chance to be with James without the baggage of their unusual beginning. I would need time to think about it, Maya said. Of course. Take all the time you need. James hesitated, then added, but know that whatever you decide, however this ends up, finding you in that desert was the best thing that ever happened to me. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Even with all the complications? The press, the scandal? Even with all of that, James confirmed. You reminded me what it means to feel, Maya. To connect with someone. After Melissa died, I shut down that part of myself. Focused on work, on making money, on building an empire. But it was empty. Until you. His words touched something deep inside her, a recognition of the truth she had been fighting. Despite everything, the trauma of the desert, the differences in their worlds, the media firestorm, she had found something rare and precious with this man. Take me home, she said softly. In the car, James's, not a taxi, they were silent, each lost in thought. When they arrived at her apartment building, James walked her to her door. Think about Costa Rica, he said. No pressure, but I want you in my life, Maya. However we can make that work. She nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Inside her apartment, Maya moved to the window and watched James's car pull away. Then she sat on her couch, considering the choice before her. Stay and fight the battle here, the press, the school board, the whispers and stares. Try to reclaim her life, her reputation, her career. All while seeing James whenever they could manage it, always under the microscope of public attention. Or go with him to Costa Rica. Start fresh. Teach children who needed her. Be with the man who had saved her life and then, somehow, become essential to it. It wasn't an easy decision. Nothing about her life had been easy since that day in the desert. But perhaps that was the point. The desert had changed her, had shown her strength she didn't know she possessed, had led her to James. Maybe it was time to stop fighting that change and embrace where it was leading her. Maya picked up her phone and typed a message to James. When do we leave for Costa Rica? His reply came almost instantly, whenever you're ready. She smiled, feeling a sense of peace settle over her for the first time since her car had broken down on that desert road. I'm ready now, she typed back. Outside her window, the city lights twinkled in the darkness, reminding her of those desert stars under which James had first kissed her. Different worlds, yes. But perhaps, together they could create a new one that belonged to them both. From death to life, from despair to hope, from a desert tree to a man's heart. Maya's journey had been extraordinary. And now it seemed it was only just beginning. Hey family. Just wanted to take a moment to say a massive thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your comments, support, and loyalty mean absolutely everything to me. I see you showing up video after video, sharing your thoughts, and making this community what it is. This channel wouldn't be the same without each and every one of you. Your enthusiasm keeps me motivated, and I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend your time here. Much love to you all. Red Heart.